Good evening, gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of Conserve Ohio. I'm Ben, and welcome to another episode of Ohio Hunting News. This is where we just go over pressing topics in the Ohio and really the whole Midwest area, but focused on Ohio. You know, the news, hunting news, wildlife news, disease news, anything you can think of that's outdoor related. So if that's something you're interested, sit back, grab a cup of coffee, and let's chat. So before we get started, I just wanted to give a big thank you to everyone who subscribed, everyone who's commented on the last hunting video. I was really shocked, blown away, and really humbled at the amount of people that took their time to like that video, comment, put in their input, and then also subscribe. That was really awesome, really neat to see, and I'm really grateful, thankful. So shout out to all of you who make this video worth making. It's really cool to see when you actually put work into something and people enjoy it. So thank you all for that. I really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. My kind of focus of this whole channel is, and I'm not gonna say that I'll never go out of state, right? But my focus is to really bring attention to, good and bad things in the Ohio outdoor industry, right? Whether that's diseases or money or out-of-state hunters or in-state hunters. I really just wanted to have a place where people can come and watch a guy do things Ohio related. There's not a whole lot about that. So like I said, thank you again, and we're just gonna keep on conserving. So in the last video, as of this time right now, and it is September 1st, 2025, we had 108 likes and 8,500 views. So that's a pretty big deal. I mean, the hunting industry in Ohio isn't that big, and to see that many people, take time to watch that video, it was really cool. So again, and I've said thank you a bunch now, but I really appreciate it. All right, now that I'm done being sappy, let's get into some news and some comments from that last video that I wanted to address and give you my input, as well as maybe the states and then other people who are more knowledgeable about this subject than I am. So one of the first comments on that video was from Hip-Hopperite, and I'm just going to use your tags if you don't have your names, because that's all I got. But he was saying that there's not really any info from the Ohio Department of Natural Resources, that we don't really get much from them, and that's a fact. And this is where I'm going to try to use this platform to make us think about it and get some things moving, because this is about all I can do. You can go and try to talk to them, you can send them emails, write them letters, but videos like this attract a lot of attention, and this is what I'm trying to do. So he was complaining there's just not a lot of updates given, and that's a fact. The last update on EHD for Ohio was August 27th. So I don't know about you, but this is a problem that is getting bigger and bigger every day. The further we are from a rain, the bigger the problem gets. And to have an update, almost a week ago at this point, I just don't think that's up to standard. I think that taxpayers deserve to know. We pay for our hunting licenses, we pay for a tag, and those resources all go to that department, right? So it would be nice if we could get maybe like a press side of that department that would be more forthcoming on even things like Facebook, social media in general, Instagram, even TikTok. Just something where we could get on, see an update, a daily update on everything that's going on, versus having to search around on their difficult to navigate website, because it is a government website and we all know how those are, right? But something where we could just go, get quick info, and be out. I'd really like to see that from the Ohio Department of Natural Resources, because that's just something we don't have right now. So great comment by Mr. Hip-Hopperite, and I appreciate it. Next comment I wanted to address was from Gary Pratt, and Gary was really excited about the game management tags that are now available both on private and on public lands. I'm really stoked about this too, and there is one thing that I forgot to mention in the previous video, and that is that we've now been up to 2 antlerless deer on public land, right, instead of the 1 that we had in the past. So this just gives other guys who don't maybe have access to private land, which is a lot of us, more access to more meat. I think it's very beneficial. I mean, the doe population continues to climb, right, and we continue to see, kind of a stagnant buck population, whereas the does continue to climb. So if we can get more guys harvesting more does on public land, I think that's going to be a huge benefit, and that cheaper price tag just makes it easier on guys, guys who are just trying to fill their freezers and feed their families, right? You're not looking to just kill as many does as possible, right? Maybe bucks, I could see that, but with antlerless deer, those are to feed guys and to feed their families, right? So big kudos to the Ohio Department of Natural Resources for doing that. I think that was a great thing, and I'm glad to see that that was passed. And then one of the last things before I get to the big thing I want to talk about, right, besides EHD, is Dan Darr. He was commenting that he wants to see a bobcat season open up. And there are a lot of neighboring states to us that do have a bobcat season, and right now we don't have that in Ohio. I think that's a decent idea. In Claremont County, we don't have a ton of bobcats, so it's not a huge issue. But as you move out further east, I know it picks up a lot. The population grows significantly. So I can definitely see maybe on a county-wide basis, maybe Washington County has this or Adams County has this, but maybe not a statewide hunting and trapping season for bobcats, right? But maybe something more like county specific. I think that would be a good move. One thing I did want to add to that is I think there needs to be some sort of bounty or something of the sorts put in place for raccoons, right? I'm sure if you have trail cameras and you have corn out on those trail cameras, you have seen your fair share of raccoons. The raccoon population is out of control. For any of you that don't know, my main job is pest control, right? And the raccoon is it's insane. The population is out of control. It's something that needs to be addressed immediately. It needed to be addressed 10 years ago, but it hasn't, and that's why I think it'd be really crucial to have that set up now and to get that going, so we can give some guys some incentives to go out and trap or go out and just hunt raccoons. We obviously do that for coyotes, but if we could get an incentive in place for raccoons, I think we'd see a huge benefit in not only our turkey populations, but just all of our small game in general. They are destructive creatures. They're nasty. I can't stand raccoons. You know what? I'm gonna leave it there. But I think an incentive for raccoons would be a massive benefit to the state. I'll touch on EHD one more time, right? It seems like, and like I said, the last report from the Ohio Department of Natural Resources was the 27th of August, which is ridiculous because the whole state hasn't seen a lick of rain since then, right? At least the southern portion of the state. And when you get those creek beds starting to dry up, that's where those midges really start to infect. When those deer start to congregate because they can't find water, that's when you see those outbreaks, right? It's really bad out east, right? Washington County, Morgan, Athens County, it's not looking good. I mean, they're having 50 plus deer reported dead, and if that's reported, then who knows how many have actually been lost, right? It is interesting to me how it's focused so heavily on the West Virginia border. I don't know if that has anything to do with it. I don't know what's going on in West Virginia, but I imagine it's not local just to Ohio, right? I mean, everybody's experiencing a drought right now. So if we could just get a rain, I think you're gonna see that problem almost eliminated just like that. But it's put a big dent in the herd, there's no doubt about it. And like I said, out east has been the worst, but even here in Claremont County, we're starting to see some bigger problems pick up. And it's just, in my opinion, it's just due to the lack of rain. This typically happens in drought years, right? And it's just something that, it's how nature runs its course, right? It's how deer populations were thinned out by Mother Nature in the past. But when you have a hunting population now that is expecting to have 6 tags filled by the end of the season, it puts a lot of stress on people. A lot of people rely on that. They rely on that food in their freezers. So I definitely get the concern, and I think that the Ohio Department of Natural Resources, look, I gave them kudos before, but I think they've really dropped the ball on this, not being transparent whatsoever. The resources just really aren't there, and I'd like to see them step up. Finally, Mr. Mark Blaine had commented about non-resident straws, right? We get a lot of non-residents coming into the state to hunt, and I don't have a problem with it personally. I don't feel like it's an issue. People should come out and hunt here, but I do think it needs to be limited. He made a really good point that guys don't come up here to shoot does, right? They come up to shoot a big Ohio buck, and who can blame them, right? Ohio is one of the better states for growing big deer, but the doe population needs managed too, and if you have a bunch of out-of-state guys just coming for their one antler tag, then that's going to cause issues. It's going to cause a significant population imbalance, and it's something that I think really needs to change, and I'd really like to see a draw for non-residents come into place. As I was scrolling through the comments, actually, Mr. Mark said that he is getting a petition together to revise Ohio Code 1533, which would be fantastic. It would turn this into a draw. So Mark, if you are seeing this, certainly send me an email. You can check out my email. It's just on my page. Send me an email there. I'd love to make a video on that so we can get a bunch of signatures real quick. I mean, if we could have got signatures on the last video, we would have had it signed already. So send me a video or send me an email with that link. I'd love to get that signed. I'd love to get it advertised out so we can get that changed. I think that's going to be a huge help to the resident hunters of Ohio. Look, Ohioans have to go other places. They have to pay and they have to enter lotteries to get tags other states. There's not a reason in the world. I wouldn't feel bad about non-residents having to do the same for us. You know, maybe Kentucky implements one too. That's not a problem for me. I think it's good for deer populations in all states. You can't have everybody and their mom coming here. You know, the population just can't handle that. So, Mark, send me an email. Let's get this signed. Let's get this going. I'd really like to see that happen. And thank you for the comment. Thank you for sharing that. Again, I wouldn't have known because there's no info on it, right? There's no info. And maybe the Ohio Department of Natural Resources doesn't want there to be info on it. But let's get this out. Let's kind of leapfrog over them and let's get this going. I'd be really interested to see that happen. So thank you, Mark. All right, guys, that's all I got for today. I hope I'm filming this on squirrel season opener, so this isn't going to go up that day, a few days after, but I really appreciate you guys watching. I hope you had a great squirrel opener. I got 2. Well, iffy, they're in the crock pot right now, but it's fun to get that in before deer season. And if we don't make another video like this before then, I hope you all have great luck, great success. I hope God blesses you in your hunts. You know, keep doing the right thing. As hunters, right, as legal hunters, we really need to do our part in leading by example and just doing things the right way. So keep it up. Let's keep conserving this great state of ours, and I will see you all on the next video.